know that most of you know Jamie Keddie. He's a teacher, a writer, a storyteller, and a presenter. And he's been doing, and he's still doing, many sessions around the world, webinars as well. And he's the writer of some books, bringing online video in the classroom and images by OUP.
Do you know who this man is? Van Gogh. Ah, interesting. Van Gogh painted this, but in fact, the man in the painting is not Van Gogh. The man in the painting is his doctor. Mario, you know. Do you know his name? His name is Dr. Gachet. Now, what I didn't tell you when I showed you that painting is that it was an observation test. But I didn't tell you that because I wanted it to be an unconscious observation test. And this is an activity that I used to do with my students. I showed them that painting, and then what I did was I removed the painting from the front of the class, from the whiteboard, and I say, okay, now I have some sentences for you. I've got 9 sentences for you, and some of them are true and some of them are false. And what I want you to do is identify the true ones and identify the false ones. As simple as that. So how did I improve this activity? How did I promote noticing? It's as simple as this. Don't give out photocopies if you're dealing with short texts. Give students the text on the blackboard or the whiteboard and ask them to copy it into their book. And I think this, by copying from board to book, is a good way of noticing. You're going to have to copy every single word down. You're going to have to spell it. You're going to get the order right. You're going to have to copy the structures. Now, of course, it's really possible. Students, we can all copy words, sentences or texts from the board into our book without paying attention at all. There can be zero noticing. But here we've got a thinking task at the same time. Students have got to work with the meaning. They've got to work out or recall whether the sentence is true or false. Slugs get lost easily. People hit splurgs with sticks. People try to put splurgs into little holes. And the last thing that you have to know about splurgs is that splurgs are small and white. You know what splurgs are. This is what splurgs are. If I'm reading aloud, it all depends on the text for me, and it all depends on the activity. I'll give you a few ideas of how I approach reading aloud. I love working with small texts, short texts, and you'd have to admit that some texts have been written specifically to be read out aloud. For example, limericks. There was a young man called Jim who decided to go for a swim. He felt such a fool when he jumped in the pool because there was no water in. So I think a lot of these traditional techniques are starting to make their way back into language teaching. And I think this is a good thing. But I think for all of them, they can be done badly. And that's not a reason for not doing them at all. I think all of them have got their place. All of them can be effective for promoting noticing. And as teachers, we can do our best to do them well. Thank you very, very much for coming along.